Everyone, so unfortunately, and I'm really sorry, but I don't have any onboard footage from me from race 2, and trust me, there was no one more guided than me about that, because I felt like I actually drove pretty well. I'm not going to lie. You'd have seen a completely different driver to what you saw in race 1, and you'd have seen me drive more like myself, calculated, fast, clinical, but just a lot quicker than the first race. So yeah, unfortunately the camera died in the holding area. It's my fault really. I should have thought about changing the battery beforehand, and yeah, I thought the camera would be okay, but it's a new camera, so we live, we learn. That's alive. Can't fault the camera though. I'm glad I finally got some footage of me on board. So yeah. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll give you a couple of stats, sort of from my race and from my point of view. Instead, probably it won't be as exciting. But yeah, so obviously starting at the back of the grid for this second race, second fastest time from quali, and obviously it was wet. I hadn't driven the car before, and that's why I'm saying I'm at the back of the grid. And I think there's a few people that dropped out as well, actually, that might have been behind me. So yeah, 15th and stone dead last. Not that ever deters me. But yeah, so now that I felt like I had a little bit of comfort in the car and knowing roughly what I was doing, if you can ever say I know what I'm doing, yeah, I felt like I had the confidence to actually push on and attack in this race, which is exactly what I did. So again, the first lap, I sort of still sort of learning to trust the drivers. As I said in the first video, their racecraft was really good, and they seemed like a really good pack of drivers, but you never know. So I kept out of trouble for the first lap, and I had about 4.5 full laps from the green lights to really show what I could do before unfortunately we think a sensor came loose. But yeah, so in those 4.5 laps, I went from 15th and last to 7th, overtaking an average of 2 people a lap. My time differences was night and day. I think my fastest lap in the first race was a 28.8, something like that, or 1 minute 28 something. And in the second race, it was a 1:26.1. And again, like I said, that was in traffic, overtaking people. So as far as I'm concerned, and after getting out, I felt like, honestly, I could find another second. And to give you an idea, when we had the issue with the sensor, I was the third fastest car on track at that point. The only 2 people that were faster than me were the first and second place people, who were obviously out in front, clean air, know each other quite well, and both pushing on together to build a gap. So yeah, I was pretty impressed with that. The fact that I was still third fastest, even fighting through traffic and everything else. Had I had a couple of laps of clear track, I generally believe that fastest lap of the race would have been on the table. And had I finished, I generally think top 4 would have been a possibility, to be honest. Which, considering I'd never driven the car before that day even, I was pretty happy with that, to be fair. And I'd only ever raced at that circuit layout once before, so yeah, lots of positives to take away as far as I'm concerned. Obviously it's a shame I've not got any footage to show you any of that. I will obviously put the links to Alpha Live's timing in there, and I found another video as well which was quite good, which I'll put a link to as well. And yeah, if I do end up getting anything sent to me from any of the guys that I was racing with, I of course will put that probably on Instagram, or maybe even a little highlights thing up here on YouTube, so and Facebook. But yeah, no, lots of positives to take away from the weekend. I'd like to think it's shown that I can jump in a car and be fast, maybe not completely straight off the bat, but within reason of a session, be right up there and able to fight for podiums. And I mean, this, like I've said before, this grid was was not full of a single person that you would think is a slouch. All of them, most of them even have come from low cost, and which is obviously a very competitive series, and most of them are towards the front of the field within low cost as well. So the fact that I did as well as I've done, I personally feel quite proud of that. And from the people that I had there watching me as well, said that the speed that I was carrying and how poised the car looked while I was driving, compared to some of the others, was impressive. Particularly knowing how little time I'd ever spent in the car. So, but yeah, no, I love the series. Thanks again to everyone involved, all the marshals, everyone at 750, everyone in the Ma7da 7 paddock, Dave, Ben, Stuart, and everyone at TSR. It was an absolute pleasure and pleasure to race against everybody as well. So thank you. Yeah, just thank you to all involved in the whole weekend, to be fair. Oh, and if you do watch that second race, I think it's about 6 or so minutes in, something like that, when I'm overtaking someone down the inside into turn 2, you'll see a little Sterling Moss wave as well. So do look out for that. I wasn't just waving at the driver, I was also waving at my friend that was marshalling on that post. So yeah, do have a quick look out for that. Yeah, as I said, nice and calm and poised. Even though I was driving relatively rapid, trying to prove a point. But yeah, no, to go from 15th to 7th in such a short period of time against such a packed grid and a level playing field when it comes to how even the cars seemed, very impressed with myself, if I do say so myself. But yeah, if I do get any footage, I will try and put it up and show you guys. But unfortunately, no on board for me, and like I said, I'm more gutted than anybody. So. Yeah, no, brilliant fun, brilliant series, and I am hoping to get back out with them again at some point, whether it's this year, whether it's next year, even if it's just for one more race. I feel like I've still got something left to prove, or something a little bit unfinished there in that series, and I feel like if I gave it a proper go, gave myself an actual test session the day before, or at least even half a day's testing the day before, I feel like I could really compete. So watch out for that. But yeah, other than that, thanks for watching, and I will see you all soon.